All right. Down in Kentucky, my family for the past few generations they've owned a family farm down there. And one night it come a big storm. And, there was a few tornadoes in different parts of the states. And the wind blew a tree down and part of it hit the barn down there. And so we gathered up some of the family to go down there and fix the barn. And it was, me, my dad, my grandpa, my mother, my brother. We went down there, we fixed that barn. And we took a day to get down there, fix the barn in a day. We only had one problem. We couldn't fix the door. We needed parts to go fix the door. And, well, the town was a little ways away, so we got in a truck, and my dad sent my grandpa after some parts, and, I got in the car with him for two reasons. First, I was tired from fixing the barn, and second, I just accidentally spilled my mom's $30 perfume down the toilet, but you didn't hear that from me. And, I didn't want to be in the house when she found out. So, we pulled down the driveway, and as we were pulling out, my grandpa, I was in the passenger seat, he was driving there, and he was telling me a story about a guy who lived on down the road there, and he's always riding a mule wherever he went. He rode a mule to church on Sunday, and he rode the mule to town just about every day. And sometimes you'd see him riding a mule, or sometimes he'd be leading a mule along. And sure enough, we got down there to where he lived, and there he was riding that mule. And it was a real hot day. All right, I mean, corn was popping off the kernels. And me and my grandpa, we kind of had the same idea. We felt sorry for him. So we pulled over there and we said, would you like a ride into town? He said, yeah, I believe I would. And we just had a little old truck. So my grandpa looked at him and said, what are we going to do about the mule? Well, he said, he looked at me, he said, don't worry about the mule. He's been to town before. So I kind of worried about that statement, but so we got in the car and pulled out and driving, and if you've ever been down to the Kentucky, Tennessee area, it's got a lot of hills down there and curvy roads, and you can't drive real fast, all in all. And we was driving. My grandpa, he was going about 40 miles an hour, and it was one of them 3-seat things. I was sitting in the middle, my grandpa driving, and fella who had the mule, he was on the right side of me, and I looked over in the rear view mirror there, and there's that mule trotting right alongside of us, right behind us. And I looked over at my grandpa's speedometer. We was going 40 miles an hour. And I said, buddy, you got one heck of a mule back there. We're going 40 miles an hour. He's right on our tail. And he said, yeah. He's a pretty good athletic mule, ain't he? So my grandpa sped up. We was going about 45, 50 miles an hour. And looked back, mule was still there. He was closer than he was before. And I said, what are you feeding that thing? Okay, it's on our tail. We're going 50 miles an hour. And he gave me the same response. And finally, we sped up about as fast as we can go. We was going 60 miles an hour on them curvy roads. And I looked back, and that mule was licking wet grass off our tailgate. And, I was kind of ashamed of that. I said, Grandpa, I love you, and I know you want to be saved, but there is a mule on our tail. And I talked to the guy beside of me. I said, he's still back there. I said, but he sure does have an awful look on his face. He said, what's he look like? I said, well, he looked kind of like a dog with his head stuck out the window. He's got his eyes bulged out and his tongue hanging out and he's flapping in the wind. He said, well, which way is his tongue hanging out? He said, the left side. He said, well, stay in this lane because he's about to pass.